In a world where gates to dungeons have opened, hunters, people with supernatural abilities, are tasked with fighting monsters to protect humanity. These gates vary in size and difficulty, from E-rank dungeons, which are low risk, to S-rank dungeons, which are filled with terrifyingly powerful beasts. But not all hunters are created equal. Sung Jin-Woo, considered the weakest hunter in the world, enters a dungeon gate with his friend Lee Joo-hee and other stronger hunters. After the boss is killed, the gate does not collapse, but instead reveals a second connected dungeon. The party is split evenly on whether or not to proceed. Jin-Woo casts the tiebreaker to send them down into the second half of the double dungeon. The party finds the dungeon empty save for a large room filled with statues, which come alive and begin slaughtering the hunters. Jin-Woo realizes that the dungeon they are in has specific rules by which to survive the statues. First, to revere God. Second, to praise God. And finally, to prove your faith to God. Several hunters are killed as Jin-Woo and the senior hunter leading the party, Song Chi-yul, slowly manage to decipher the instructions on how to survive. Finally, only Chi-yul, Joo-hee, who has collapsed from the stress, and Jin-Woo are left, and Jin-Woo tells Chi-yul to evacuate with Joo-hee while he holds the door. Left alone, Jin-Woo rages against his imminent death. However, as he dies, he receives a message that he has completed the hidden quest and may become a player if he accepts the offer. Jin-Woo wakes up after 3 days asleep, initially thinking he might have dreamed the events of the double dungeon. Investigators from the Hunters Association explain that it really did happen. Joo-hee is traumatized while Chi-yul is reportedly retiring after losing his arm, and check to see if Jin-Woo experienced the very rare Second Awakening, in which a hunter will experience an increase in ability. The test comes back negative. Jin-Woo discovers a message like the one that declared him a player with daily goals to hit and a penalty for failing to complete them. After skipping the first day and nearly dying when thrown into a penalty quest, Jin-Woo begins completing each day's goal. He receives stat bonuses and loot boxes, which results in him receiving a special item, an instance dungeon key. He enters and is confronted by a wolf monster stronger than anything he had fought before. Jin-Woo successfully kills the wolf and gains a level. More appear, and he continues through the dungeon, killing more and gaining more strength before defeating the dungeon's boss. Meanwhile, outside the instance, a dungeon is not cleared properly, and monsters escape into the real world, occurs, allowing a golem to enter the real world. Arriving hunters, including a PTSD-stricken Joo-hee, fail to deal any damage. Emerging from the instance, Jin-Woo is guided to the battle and throws his broken sword into the golem boss, shattering its defense and allowing the gathered hunters to take it down. He departs, reflecting that the golem must have been more injured than he'd expected. Jin-Woo joins C-rank hunter Hwang Dong-suk and his 5 associates in a pickup group to tackle a C-rank insect dungeon, with the contract stipulating that Jin-Woo doesn't have to fight but won't get any battle drops. Jin-Woo becomes suspicious of Dong-suk's motives due to the situation. Rounding out the 8-member requirement to enter the dungeon is first-timer D-rank Yoo Jin-ho, whose family wealth has gotten him equipped with very expensive and powerful gear. After the hunters defeat a wave of monster ants, they find the dungeon boss, a giant sleeping spider in a room with highly valuable miniable mana crystals. Jin-ho reviews Jin-Woo's contract and notes that since the crystals aren't battle drops, Jin-Woo should get a full share. In retaliation, Dong-suk and his party spring their plan to keep everything and trap Jin-Woo and Jin-ho in the boss room, waking up the spider in the process. Jin-Woo prepares to kill the dungeon boss. Jin-Woo successfully defeats the boss, much to Jin-Ho's shock. When Dong-suk and his group re-enter the boss room, he attempts to coerce Jin-Ho into killing Jin-Woo, but Jin-Ho refuses. Jin-Woo receives a new quest to kill Dong-suk's group under penalty of death, leading him to massacre them. He exits the dungeon with Jin-Ho, using the cover story of the others having been slain by the dungeon monsters. Jin-Ho offers Jin-Woo a building in exchange for his help in fulfilling requirements for guild certification. Jin-Woo rejects the offer. Jin-Woo notices his daily mission keeps incrementing past the requirements. Upon maxing it out, he is rewarded with another instance key, this time to an S-rank dungeon that rewards a special potion that can heal any illness. Jin-Woo realizes it can cure his mother and decides to risk it. The first battle within the dungeon is against a guardian Cerberus, which nearly kills Jin-Woo multiple times before he finally manages to slay the beast. His reward is the key to the castle Cerberus was guarding, within which is the ingredients he needs to craft the potion. Knowing he would die if he pressed on, he promises himself to return later and succeed. Meanwhile, the Hunters Association investigates the death of Dong-suk after learning the dungeon boss was defeated. Dong-suk's younger brother, the S-rank Dong-su, blames Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho and swears revenge. Jin-Woo visits his comatose mother and decides to push forward with getting stronger so that he can get the needed ingredients to save her. He thus accepts Jin-Ho's request to aid in running dungeons to allow creation of a guild. To fulfill the party member requirement for C-rank dungeons, the Hunters Association recruits the survivors of the double dungeon raid. Jin-Woo, Ju-hee, Chi-yul, Kim Sang-shik, and Kang Jong-ho. And due to a shortage of hunters in the area, the group is rounded out by several imprisoned hunters who serve in exchange for reduced sentences that are overseen by B-rank Kang Tae-shik. At a three-way junction, the group splits up. Kang uses the separation to murder the prisoners at the behest of their victim's father, and when Jong-ho and Sang-shik's path leads them to stumble upon the scene, Kang kills them to cover it up. Jin-Woo, Ju-hee, and Chi-yul race back to the scene and confront Kang. And Jin-Woo reveals his newfound power to kill Kang. A grateful Chi-yul covers for Jin-Woo. Later that night, Ju-hee asks Jin-Woo if he remembers, holding up a small essence stone. Ju-hee tells Jin-Woo she is retiring as a hunter, and to look her up if he ever finds himself at her home. Jin-ho buys the dungeon rights for multiple C-rank dungeons and recruits low-ranked hunters to fill dungeon requirements, while Jin-Woo and Jin-ho are the only ones who go in to clear them. The White Tiger Guild's recruiting manager notices Sung Jin-Woo's name and puts the pieces together that Jin-Woo must have reawakened. He attempts to recruit Jin-Woo but fails. Jin-Woo receives a message. Having achieved a level requirement, he is now offered a job change quest. Jin-Woo starts the job change quest and is teleported to a massive castle. After fighting through waves of knights, assassins, and mages, apparently mimicking those he's fought previously, he confronts Igris, the Blood-Red Knight commander. Igris is every bit as powerful and more so than Jin-Woo, who only barely manages to slay the knight. The actual job change quest activates, unleashing an unending horde of the monsters he'd fought on the way to Igris's chamber. Meanwhile, the S-rank hunters of Korea gather and head for Jeju Island, years ago, the site of an S-rank dungeon break. Overwhelmed by the seemingly endless horde and recalling his prior circumstances, Jin-Woo nearly despairs before deciding to press forward. The timer for the daily quest expires, and he is transferred to a penalty zone, which he uses to recover and prepare himself. Returned to the castle, he succeeds in defeating first the horde. As a reward, he gains the title Shadow Monarch and the ability to bring the dead back to life as his Shadow Army. Meanwhile, the S-rank hunters make a horrifying discovery. The Jeju Island S-rank monsters have begun to evolve and threaten to spread to the mainland. Season of solo leveling comes to an end. Jin-Woo vows to keep getting stronger, something he will need with new challenges and new enemies that will surely come across his path. Like and subscribe and join us for another recap next week.